In these parts, basketball isn't just a hobby, it's a lifestyle. Located north of Toronto, Vaughan Secondary School is home to one of the most prestigious high school basketball programs in Canada. Rich in history and tradition, Vaughan has established a reputation that is rooted in continued success and a commitment to family.
Basketball has been coming along and growing in this neighborhood for, many years. So it's like a brotherhood, it's like a family. When you put on the uniform, it really stands for, again, community. It stands for unity. It stands for, facing adversity and doing your best. I think it also stands for excellence.
I think everything starts with leadership, and I think the school's done a good job of allowing the basketball program to grow. It's a confluence of different things that allowed Vaughan to become what it is, which is one of the premier basketball programs in the city now.
The culture is just different. I've never really been around something like this. Like, everything revolves around basketball, you could say. It's just the culture is very different.
Gus Gymnopoulos is the architect behind Vaughan's dominant hoops empire. Upon his arrival in 2004, Gymnopoulos, also known as Coach G, made a concerted effort to initiate a shift in program culture.
The program was okay, it was good, we had good quality players, but we needed to sort of shift the culture of the program and just sort of expand our web of recruitment, and that's what we started to do.
Gus really took a helm of the program, shaped it and molded it into what he saw was a successful program.
I mean, Gus just does a phenomenal job coaching these kids, spending this time. I mean, he's in the gym 6 o'clock in the morning with these kids. He's in the gym in the summertime with these kids, giving them access to the facilities. And that's the big thing. You want kids in a gym. You don't want the kids roaming around doing all kinds of stuff. And Gus understands that, and he does everything he can to give them that environment and give them the coaching that they need to be successful.
Half court, half court, half court. Where should you be, Jimmy? Where should you be, Quincy? Okay, we're keeping score, losing team's running. Here we go.
The coaching expertise here has always been great. The first coach was Mike Foster. The second coach was AJ Sharma. They both have had illustrious coaching careers. So I stepped in sort of with a lesser coaching experience than those two guys, and I learned a lot of information from those two guys. And it really came down to attracting players. I know coaches a lot of times have ego and they think that their magic X's and O's can get things done, but it really can't. All these kids just sort of dumped into the building at once, and that was the beginning. And then when Andrew Wiggins came in the mid-2009, it was like, okay, now we're for real.
In his lone season at Vaughan, Wiggins led the Voyagers to the school's first ever Quad A OFSA title.
Everywhere he went, it was like a rock star event. It was like a concert. It was like, the whole GTA wanted to see Andrew Wiggins in action.
Everything at that time was very natural for him. He played within the system. He wanted to win just as much as everyone else did. That team was something special. We had, I don't even know how often, but you have about 8 to 9 guys on one team that end up playing post-secondary basketball, and that's something that just doesn't happen.
At 4 to 6'8" freshman out of Vaughan, Ontario, Canada, number 22, Andrew Wiggins.
I think it was a great blessing for Canada, for Toronto, for Vaughan, for the whole community, to have Andrew come home for a season and spend a year really developing Canadian high school basketball, because you see the after effect now. Andrew was kind of the precursor to brands and the government and schools looking into the neighborhood and saying, oh wow, we need to keep these guys here.
I think Andrew had a great option to stay in Canada, stay at Vaughan Prep. and compete in a prep league now that actually you have a lot of American kids coming here to play. All the changes that happened to make a prep league a possibility was because of players like Andrew Wiggins.
It just took it to a completely different level for us. The college coaches that were calling, obviously, to inquire about him, even though he was only 15 at the time. NBA people were calling. It was a completely different and a very, very exciting experience to me.
With Andrew Wiggins, he took it to the next level, and now I'm sure you have people just coming to the Vaughan area to see, hey, where did Andrew Wiggins grow up? What school did he go to? So he's brought everything exponentially higher.
He's a special player, he's a special kid, and he had a great opportunity at Vaughan, and I think the way Gus coached him. Gus coached him like he was any other kid. He didn't give him special treatment, he didn't do anything, he coached him. And that was part of the development of arguably one of the greatest Canadians we're ever going to have because of the coaching he got at that age and continued on with.
The following season, Vaughan captured yet another OFSA championship, sparking conversation about a potential dynasty. But for Coach G, winning back-to-back OFSA titles came with its fair share of challenges.
When Andrew was gone, now it became a sort of a fighting contest onto who's going to be the person to sort of be the next Andrew or to establish himself. So it was a really trying season. We had so much talent on that team that we still were able to win, but it wasn't fun winning.
Everyone was playing for minutes. Like, everyone was trying to show out. Like, there was never any lackadaisical practices where we came in and we were weak, because everyone knew that the next guy could play just as good as the first guy.
What ended up happening after a long period of time, we took a loss against Eastern Commerce at the MT tournament, and they punched us in the nose. We ended up losing by like 16 or 18, and we were completely deflated. We had a fist fight break out in practice because everything just bubbled to the surface. And after that fist fight, everyone seemed to settle down. So then we just we took the keys away as coaches and said, okay, you guys, it's your team now, you're leading, you're responsible for everything. So guys like Troy and Henry, they designed the practice plans, and I'd be there to facilitate and correct and make, but when they took ownership of their own team, it became very magical.
That year was a real stamp for us because I know a lot of us, like myself especially, and the guys that were in my year, Brendan, Rashane, Adian, all those guys that were in my year, especially when we won, coming back the second season for our last season, I know the talk was, oh, Vaughn's not going to be that good because Andrew's not here anymore. It's like, we're here to win an OFSA championship, we're here to prove everyone wrong, let's focus on that, and then it was perfect.
And when we got to OFSA, we blew everyone out, and I remember walking into the change rooms, I had my scouting report, and before I even got in there to write the scouting report on the board, Troy he wrote it on the board, and everybody knew who they were guarding, and they had their assignments done. The kids owned it, and that's where you want to kind of get to with every team. If they can take that level of responsibility, I think magical things occur.
The reverberations of Vaughan's back-to-back OFSA wins can still be felt today. Those triumphs served as a precursor to the arrival of today's prep talent, including the likes of Wazir Latif and Taryn Todd.
A nice pass by Taryn Todd finds Jazz Senga wide open on the left block.
I'm still trying to figure Taryn out. He's seemingly quiet. He sort of conducts himself in a quiet fashion, but he's not.
I'm like a silent assassin because I don't like to talk much, but I just let my game do the talking.
He is a really, really hard worker. His family has pushed him. He trains a lot. He's been doing skill development since, he was little.
I'm in the gym every day. When I get home, I have to do my homework. It never stops. It's just I have to do it every day.
He took a huge step between his 9th grade and his 10th grade, where in 9th grade he was on the junior team, and then by 10th grade we took him right up with us to the prep team. He continued to work hard. He had a personal trainer. He did all these things, and then he made the cadet national team. which was a really, really big step for him in his development.
It meant a lot because, like, you know, it was just like all my hard work has paid off, and I got to play for my country. You know, it was a good opportunity.
You know, right now, as a 11th grade, his third year of high school, we're looking for him to take the next step where he can actually take the team on his shoulders and just carry us forward as one of our premier scorers. And you know, he's probably our best defender right now because he's athletic and he has quick feet and quick hands and stuff. So we're looking for him to take that next step and, you know, sort of break out and, you know, put us on our back when we need, you know, a bucket or when things aren't going well. And he's got to break from the mold. So we're looking for that from Taran.
No one possesses a greater appreciation for the sport of basketball than Wazir Latif. Earlier in his high school career, the senior guard was sidelined for nearly a year after suffering a devastating knee injury.
It happened during grade 10 March break in the Jane and Finch tournament. It was a championship game, so everybody's excited. Everybody's like heated up, ready to play. My teammate had the ball. I wanted him to throw a lob to me because the previous game before that, I had one of my first in-game dunks. I tried to maybe take it too far by trying to do that, and then I probably jumped the wrong way, and it fractured my tibia. When they told me I'm gonna need surgery, that's when it really hit me that, like, basketball just can get taken away from you at any time and you don't even know.
He fractured part of his growth plate and he was in recovery for close to 11 months. And he worked really, really diligently and hard, and he had a hard time. And I still don't think he's 100%. I think he's 100% healthy, but I think, you know, not playing basketball for close to a year really, really set him back in his development.
After this year, I hope I get a Division I scholarship so I can play at that high level. But I also want to be able to study kinesiology, because I want to learn about the body. I want to learn why injuries happen and how to avoid injuries, and I want to be able to help other people. Because I don't want people to end up like me, because it wasn't an easy thing to go through.
He text messages me every single night to ask me if the gym will be open in the morning, every single night. He works hard on his game. He's really nice to people. He's soft-spoken and humble. We've never really had an issue with him, ever. And he's sort of a rare character in that sense. It's really, really hard to find kids like him these days, and you know, I'll do anything to help him get to where he needs to go.
Andrew Nemhard spent 2 years at Vaughn Secondary School before transferring to Montverde Academy in Lake County, Florida. Now, his younger brother Ryan is following in his footsteps.
Since Andrew's been here in his first game when he was in grade 9, I've kind of always wanted to come here and be on the team. So it's pretty surreal to be here right now and be playing with Vaughn on the team and being coached by Coach Gus and just playing games in front of everyone. It's a really great feeling.
Earlier this year, the elder Nemhard suffered a major health scare, one that put his basketball future in jeopardy. Andrew has since made a full recovery and recently announced his commitment to the University of Florida.
He's battled adversity. His compete level is crazy. Every time I've seen him play, I just watch. Here's a kid that just gets better. I love the way he understands the game, his feel for the game.
Just one thing I would really take from that is just never take anything for granted, because life could be over like this. So and it's been great to see how he was at a very low point and he just kind of got back to normal, and he's just as good as he's been.
At 14, Ryan has already asserted himself as one of the top playmakers in the OSBA.
I'm seeing some of the plays that he's making right now, and he's 14. And you're seeing some of the passes, and like I've had a time to watch the NBL. I've covered NBL, I've covered FIBA. He could play with those guys right now. He can go and make the right decisions.
Basketball and my family is probably the two best things in my life. I love basketball. I don't know what I would be doing without basketball. It's just, I love waking up every day and playing basketball, whether it's waking up early in the morning at 6 o'clock to come here and play, or late at night in the gym.
The 2017-2018 season marks Vaughn's second year on the OSBA circuit. Despite facing numerous challenges, Vaughn has made significant strides since its debut campaign.
I think Gus is doing a fantastic job. It's hard. It's a lot of hard work to keep the program going, especially being in the OSBA. The competition level is really high, and there's limitations here. You know, this is a high school essentially. There's nowhere to room and board players. Your recruiting is limited, but he still manages to have a lot of solid players here.
It's harder to keep kids these days because there are so many options out there in the basketball world because the game has changed. There are so many different prep schools, there are so many different club programs and AAU programs that kids can play for anybody that they want at any time, it seems. So it's really, really hard to keep your kids with you for a long period of time. What we're trying to do right now is, in order to try to recruit the talent, we'll never be able to, really compete at the biggest tournaments in the US and, to travel down there 5 or 6 times, because unless we start charging, thousands of dollars, which we don't actually want to do, then it's going to be hard to get to that level. But what we can do is we can show sort of the community in the world how hard we work, and we do our strength conditioning and we have our sponsorships, and everything we do is tailored to try to get the kids better for the next level. If we can sort of show the world that, we could have a little edge in terms of our recruitment of talent, because they'll get an authentic experience, which I think will allow them to go on to the next level.
I think a lot of this falls in the business community. I think you're going to need a bigger budget, for everything. And I think that's something that the community's going to have to rally around. Partnerships with sneaker companies and so on and so forth really help. Andrew coming back and supporting the program could really help. But I think that's one of the big challenges, is just the fact that they got to add resources and really invest in the program.
What's a kid gonna want? He wants to go to school. Yeah, sure, everybody wants exposure and all that, but quite frankly today, if you're good, they're gonna find you. And there's so many, there's so much scouting, there's so much this and that. You're gonna be seen, you're gonna get exposure. So what's the next thing? You want your education, you want to go someplace where you go to school, take care of that. And you want coaching. You want to be coached. You want to be taught. You want to be, you want your game to go to a different level. So if you have somebody like Gus Gymnopoulos, you're going to get that.
G has helped prepare myself and most of us for when we went to university and played basketball. It's hard for you to see it at the time when you're in high school because you're younger, but when I got to university and the same things started happening and reoccurring, that's when I was like, wow, G really prepared me to be out here.
Even when Andrew was here and all the talent we had, like when Dinjo went to Oklahoma and Monty went to Missouri and Troy went to Maine, and all these kids, I never once tried to ever ride their coattails to anything bigger and better. I've been here ever since, and I don't plan on going anywhere. I have a great job and a great career and a great family. I get a paycheck. They don't yet. So it's really about them.
A relationship with your players is probably the most important thing a coach can have, and he's in that community working with those kids. Those kids have a certain level of trust. So when it comes time for, the final 30 seconds of the game, and you really need to get in a kid, you need to cuss them, you need to yell at him, you need to get, loud. Gus has that ability because he's invested time and energy into these kids. He's got that cachet, he's got that room to move. And I think that's the one thing that really separates the people who can really take this thing to a next level from those who just talk about is building relationships with people, having that certain level of trust. And I think with kids, it's paramount. I mean, you can yell at a kid all day and get no reaction from him, but if that kid knows that you have their back, that you're gonna put yourself out there for him, that you're there writing letters to coaches, writing letters to programs, being an ambassador for that kid far beyond what his parents and friends and peers and teachers are doing, then that kid's gonna go further for you. And I think that's something that Gus has developed with his kids and with his community, is a deep level of trust and a strong relationship.
Vpaa 3, family on 6. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6.